country where you're coming from, you have left the civil law of that society. When you land here in America, you have entered the civil law of America. Or you land in Europe, you have entered the civil law of Europe. Because the civil law is the law that governs the life of a citizen. So when you make residence in an environment, in a territory, in a land, the law of that land start to govern you. Unless you live in an embassy, unless you have a diplomatic passport, unless you are in a confinement of an international agreement that gives you an exception, that gives you an immunity. That's what the immunity is. An immunity is an exception. And that's what diplomats benefit from. Some also military envoy benefit from that. There are a lot of different categories of work, of career, that gives people the exception of being ruled by the civil law where they are. So if you are not a diplomat, if you are not in those special categories of people, and you enter the land civil law governs you. So the marriage that you came with, is it valid with that civil law? You have to check the office of the town where you are, or the state. If you are in America, different states have different civil law. They have different matrimonial laws. They have different marriage laws. So you need to make sure that if you have decided to live abroad, as soon as you arrive, you need to get yourself acclimated, get yourself educated with those laws to know what is now regulating your family, what family law that you have just entered. Some laws, let's say in Africa, there are some family laws that automatically give the welfare of the children to the father. Because in that environment, the father is the one who provides for the family. So the laws are set to allow the father to automatically keep the children and care for the children. The mother has to fight to show the law that she is able to care for her children. It is the best interest of the children that they stay with her, and the father is not, a suitable father. The mother has to prove that. But in America, I don't know about Europe because I've never lived there. In America, and mostly in Western, society, I think it's the same in Canada as well. By default, the mother has the children, and the father has to fight to tell the law that he is a better parent, that is to the best interest of the children that they stay with him. So as you move, you relocate, you change environment, make sure that you are aware of the laws that govern those societies, and that you make sure that the marriage you have conducted is recognized where you live. I know some countries, again, in other societies, recognize the traditional marriage. What we call the traditional marriage is commonly called bride price. The family goes to the girl's family, they pay the dowry, The girl's family say, okay, now you are a married woman, go to your marital home. And she follows her husband with the husband family. And according to that village, to that tribe, and to the tribe where she's coming from, they are legally married. However, if you get up with a bride price to come abroad with a bride price, the abroad America does not recognize the bride price as a legal binding marriage. And I want to also say that even where you're coming from, let's continue in the example of a tribal in Africa. The tribal union is a tribal union in the country that I know, the Ivory Coast. It's a tribal union, it's a tribal recognition of a marriage. It is not a legal binding contract. So if in that bride price and traditional marriage states your husband were to die, the Ivorian family law does not automatically recognize you as the rightful wife. I know a couple of times they did some, they amended the law. I remember when I was in law school, we studied that in family law, where a couple of cases came up and the woman had to fight and all of that. And, you know, there were prerogative and different set of intervention. The judge had to literally single-handedly make a decision to the advantage of the woman. But since then, I don't know if they actually amended the law to recognize bride price as legal contract of marriage. So you have to be careful when you do all of that abroad, or all of that rather in Africa, or I don't know the Asian law, but in Africa, I want to talk about, because I know that, you know, I can talk about that. If you are traditionally married in Africa, before you come to the abroad, get a legal union signed. Or when you come to the abroad, do the legal marriage. Another thing also is that if you do the traditional marriage and you are blessed in the church as a couple, what you are is a blessed couple. You are not a legal couple. So you cannot stand in the court of law to claim anything based on being blessed in the church, because the church has to receive your marriage certificate to bless you. I know some church can do that without the marriage certificate, but it is for you to go to your marriage contract. You have to go to court to sign your marriage contract before or after you have been blessed in church for your marriage to be a legally binding contract. So I wanted to talk about that because a lot of issues came up about women finding themselves with a situation where they realize they have no right after, they have no legal right after the passing of the husband. So we stop here and we continue the conversation because we're going to go deeper with another topic. I don't want to make this one too long. So see you in the next one. I'm not moving, I'm cutting to continue.